Yes, we're going to take a look at the life of Joseph Smith. If it wasn't for Joseph Smith, I'm sure that I would be, at very best, an agnostic. As I study what theologians have done to the scientific community, especially back in the Dark Ages, the things they did were not right. And along comes this young, uneducated boy, and we examine the things that he did and the information that he has given the world, and it had to be inspired. It had to be revelation from heaven, or he could not have done the things that he did. And we're going to discuss a few of those things. Now, one of the things is the Book of Mormon. Now, everybody thought that's crazy, talking about gold plates. Back in the early 1800s, everybody knows that the ancients wrote on papyrus. Well, guess what? Since then, they have found gold plates in strange parts of the world with records were kept on. Here's a picture of a gold plate found in a stone box. That's a familiar story. Joseph found the plates in a stone box. And here's another set of plates that dates back about 600 BC, and they're gold plates that are bound with some rings, and that's the way the gold plates were when Joseph was given them. Now there's some other things about the contents of the book. We just recently rediscovered an ancient poetic style that the ancients wrote. In fact, I think it was in about 1963 it was discovered that ancient Hebrews wrote in a poetic style that's called chiasmic poetry. And how chiasmic poetry works is the first thought and the last thought are the same thought. The second and the next last thought are the same. Third up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our poetry is in rhyme. The ancient Hebrews, their poetry was in order sequence. And here's an example. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man will his blood be shed. First line shed, last line shed. Second line blood, second last blood, middle man, men. Here's some more evidences, some more indications of chiasmic poetry that was found in Isaiah. A, arise, A prime of thy rising. B, shine. B prime, and the kings to brightness. C, for thy light is come. The nation shall come to light. And so here's evidence of a poetic style that was custom for the day. When they rediscovered this in 1963, somebody says, you know, that Book of Mormon claims to be of ancient Hebrewic origin. Let's go looking. Now they go looking in the Book of Mormon, and here's an interesting one in Mosiah 3, 18 and 19. And we've read this. If you're an active member of the church, you read this, but you never picked up on a poetic style. Men will drink damnations to their souls unless they humble themselves and become as little children, believing that salvation is in the atoning blood of Christ. For the natural man is an enemy of God and has been from the fall of Adam and will be forever, unless he yieldeth to the Holy Spirit and putteth off the natural man and becometh a saint through the atonement of Christ, and becometh as a child, submissive, meek, and humble. You'd read through that and you'd never pick up a poetic style. But let's look at the top line, humble. Last line, humble. Second line, children. Second line, prime, child. Atoning blood of Christ, atonement of Christ. Natural man, has been, will be. And here's another one in Mosiah 5, 10 through 12. Now, whosoever shall not take upon them the name of Christ must be called by some other name. Therefore he findeth himself in the left hand of God. And I would that ye should remember that this is the name that should never be blotted out except through transgression. Therefore take heed that ye do not transgress, that the name be not blotted out of your hearts. I would that ye should remember and retain this name, that ye are not found on the left hand of God, and that ye hear and know the voice by which ye shall be called, and also the name by which he shall call you. First line, name of Christ. last line, name. Second, called. Next to last, called. Left hand of God, left hand of God. Remember, remember. Blotted out, blotted out. Transgression, transgress. How could this young man with a third grade education who didn't know history just pull this off? And well over 100 years later, after he wrote the book, we're finding evidences of information that just was not available in his day. It can only be there through inspiration. Now is there any evidence in the Old Testament that would lead up to or laying a foundation for the Book of Mormon? I say there is. Let's look in Ezekiel 37 verses 16 and 17. Take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah, and for the house of Israel his companions, and take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all of the house of Israel his companions. And join them together into one stick, that they shall become one in thine hand. Well, what on earth are we talking about here? A stick is a book. In ancient Hebrewic terms, they wrote on papyrus and they rolled it up in a stick, and that's a book. Now here we have a picture of two books, two sticks being fused together. And what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the Book of Mormon, and we're talking about the Bible. God's the God of the whole world, and he has children on continents on both halves of the world, and his dealings with his children is the same. So in our day, we have the two sticks joined together, the Book of Mormon and the Bible. Okay, here's another evidence that's strong in my world for the authenticity of Joseph Smith. Everybody has their unique thumbprints. You can identify yourself through thumbprints. For better or for worse, sometimes it's worse. You leave your thumbprint where it hadn't ought to be, and they can find you. Okay, we have another print that's just as authentic as a thumbprint, and that's called a word print. There's a study, since computers have come along, there's a study called word print analysis. You speak English, I speak English, but the hard drive up here, my hard drive is programmed different than yours. And the way I use the English language, the way you use the English language is unique to you. The length of your sentences, where you put the buts and ands and does and commas, is unique to you. And you can write an essay of 1,000 words and run it through a computer program called word print analysis, and it will put a finger right on you. It will identify you. Through word print analysis, which has only come about since computers have been developed, they ran the Book of Mormon through word print analysis, and they found there's at least 24 unique authors in the Book of Mormon, concluding that the Book of Mormon was not written by Joseph Smith or any of his contemporaries. Now, how can that be? They tried to foul up word print analysis. When this was discovered, they took an English major who got his master's degree studying Shakespeare, and they asked him to plagiarize Shakespeare, write a sonnet as though you were Shakespeare. And he did. He wrote the sonnet, and then they took the sonnet and they ran it through word print analysis. And guess what? Even with a master's degree in English and definitely trying to do this thing, he could not fool the system. Now, the Book of Mormon was run through word print analysis, science of our day. Joseph didn't write that thing. And there's at least 24 different authors. Now if he wrote it, how can he change his writing style 24 times when the English major couldn't change his once? Well, it's just another evidence that the Book of Mormon is what it purports to be.